Muy buenas a todos, señores, señoritas, animales y lo que haya por ahí. Aquí estamos en otro vídeo de Genshin Impact. Y bueno, vamos a terminar de conseguir 3 cofres o 3 cositas que faltan. Y vamos a continuar con la misión de Arconte, donde apareció una sombra parecida a Scaramouche. Ay, 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 señores, que se acerca ya. Lo poco que queda se acerca ya. Vale, entonces el objetivo es... Me voy a tirar por aquí. Vamos en dirección al Silly, que el Silly estaba ahí, joder. El Silly estaba aquí. Y vamos a ver. Porque creo que el Silly nos mandará a aquella zona donde habían como rocas que se podían romper. Y que yo no sabía cómo llegar hasta ellas. Así que bueno, vamos a ver si localizamos. Primero es que claro, lo otro me apunté, creo que en la etiqueta, cómo llegar a lo otro, que es un cofre. Pero a ver cómo era, tío. Vale, creo que no he cogido una mierda. Hostia, ¿qué más? Y ¡pum! Madre mía. Madre mía, qué roturas. Todo para que luego no me dejen una mierda los ratas. Vaya mierda, tío, de verdad, qué triste. Qué barbaridad de cagada. A ver. Vale, aquí creo que estamos cerca ya. Mirad, eso... Esto se va a romper, ¿eh? Esto es lo que yo os decía. Madre mía. Esto es, sí señor. Vale, fuera, pum. Madre mía, sí señor. Y ya está. Solucionado. Sí señor. Madre mía, qué bueno soy, por favor. Cómo hemos mejorado, cómo hemos crecido. Vale, ahora es importante recordar dónde estaba el otro. Vale, voy a quitar ya el Silly. Creo que era Silly inferior desde no sé qué. Cofre inferior. ¿Qué pongo? Es que no lo leo. Desde punto hacia abajo. Desde punto hacia abajo. O sea, me refiero a este. No lo sé, ¿eh? Bueno, vamos a ver, porque falta solo eso y lo quiero encontrar hoy. A ver, cerdo, ¿qué haces? Venga, va, muérete. Hoy quiero hacer avance en la misión de Arconte. Joder, quiero encontrar el cofre. Falta un cofre. No parece que esté por aquí, No, desde aquí no vamos a encontrar nada porque... Vale, tiene que ser aquí. A ver, el punto este... Ah, es desde aquí. Hay que dar la vuelta, no hay que tirarse a donde estaba el jefe. Había que venir por aquí. Y ahí está, vale. Pues ya está, señores. Vamos a quitar la etiqueta. Y solo quedará una cosita, Solo quedará una cosita. Madre mía, eso es, joder, que sufra. Sufre, cerdo. Se acabó. Qué bonito, por favor. ¿Y los otros qué? ¿No me han dado carne misteriosa o qué? Vale, pues ya está, ¿no? De acuerdo, pues ahora vamos a localizar este cofre, que telita, telita con ese cofre inferior. Y creo que me faltaban unas roquitas, ¿verdad? Ah, no, creo que ya me las quité de encima. Sí, las encontré, pero me costó un poco. Pero bueno, las roquitas suman porcentaje, no tanto, pero bueno. Eso sí que no lo muestro porque es que al final nos podemos volver loquitos. Vale, hay que tirarse por aquí. Hay que meterse por aquí. La música es que, tío, me parece espectacular, de verdad. Me parece jodidamente espectacular. Tengo una pequeña idea en la cabeza, pero no voy a decir nada, ya lo veré. Aunque bueno, no es una idea mía, obviamente. Eso es algo que ya se ha hecho muchas veces. Pero me hace ilusión, no sé. A ver, tenemos que subir por aquí. Y aquí está el famoso cofre. Es que mirad qué ubicación, Vaya locura. Pues ya está, bueno, ya teníamos el 100%, pero ahora lo tenemos ya más rematado todavía. Y nada, ahora el objetivo es continuar la misión de Arconte. Por fin, tengo muchas ganas, joder. Ganitas, ganotas, capullitas, capullotas. De acuerdo. A ver lo que tarda esto. Y ahora pues ya no leeremos, por fin. Porque en las misiones de Arconte hablan ellos, nosotros escuchamos. Que también viene bien escuchar de vez en cuando. Ya hicimos el ritual, creo. Vale, pues nos metemos. Y tocará esperar un poquito, a que se cargue. Por fin, señores, podemos continuar esto ya. Ha costado. Vale, pues a ver qué pasa aquí. Naida. Uy, y no está sola,
Traveler, Paimon, there you are.
Yahida! Bad news. We just saw the balladeer strolling around in public. Did he escape or... Ah! It's him!
Sure enough. You're here.
Hey! What are you doing in the sanctuary of Surasthana? Aren't you supposed to be locked up?
I know you must have a lot of questions. Please, allow me to explain. It was my idea to set the balladeer free. We made a deal, and he's gonna do some investigation in Irminsul for me.
A deal? Huh. You sure you trust this guy?
What did you expect? Why do you think Sumeru would keep me around otherwise? Or maybe killing me is all you can think about. But if that's the case, why haven't you done it already?
Don't flatter yourself. It was... Nahida said there's still some mysteries in you to figure out.
Ah, so if it were up to you, you'd finish the job? Guess I had you all wrong. There I was thinking you were just getting cold feet.
Well, that escalated quickly. Not a good start. Could I ask you all to please calm down?
But Paimon's worried about you, Nahida. Don't let him trick you.
It's not every day you see people questioning the God of Wisdom's judgment. Just when you think you've seen it all.
Don't you dare try to drive a wedge between us!
As long as the terms are reasonable, I don't think there's a problem in making a deal. Even with the balladeer.
Well, I for one have no reason to doubt you. Considering you even struck a deal with the doctor.
Yes, one in which I gained valuable information. You'll come to understand more about that in the fullness of time. The balladeer's power was all but completely spent after your battle. He's no longer strong enough to be a strategic threat to us. That puts him in quite a precarious position. Plus, he's a former harbinger with knowledge of many of the Fatui's sensitive secrets. Being stuck here in Sumeru could make him a sitting duck, depending on how the Fatui plan to respond.
Wait a second. Farmer? You mean he's not a harbinger anymore?
I take no pleasure in saying this, but it seems as if the doctor had no intention of welcoming back a loser.
Es decir, que le han dado la patada.
Sometimes it's you using them. Other times, it's them using you. Most human relationships are this way. Certainly all the stable ones are. That's how it was between me and the Fatui. And also between each of the harbingers. So as long as you have some value to offer, nobody will ever abandon you. But after recent events, even I have to admit that I'm not worth quite what I used to be.
Qué pena. Creo que voy a llorar y todo.
Well, if the Fatui are gonna reevaluate my utility, I need to have a backup plan for myself.
As we discussed, I don't like causing harm to living beings, and you said you need protection. So, why not join forces with us?
I think these two have made their objection to that idea fairly clear, don't you? And they're your friends, so I guess you'll be siding with them.
Yeah, obviously! Nahida, don't listen to him!
Then let's put that discussion to the side for now. Today can be a trial run. Where we go from here will depend on how well we manage to cooperate today.
All right, then I'll do what we agreed.
Good. Go now, and keep in touch.
Nahida, are you serious about this?
Yes. I have my reasons for this decision. In fact, I'm largely doing it for your benefit.
¿Yo?
Yes. As I told you once before, there's information about your twin in Irminsul.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's the whole reason we came to see you today. So, you have an update on that?
Mm-hmm. You may remember me mentioning that the Fatui had not included your twin's details in the Descender category. This is an extremely important point. It's possible that the Fatui have other information that even I don't know about. And since the Balladeer used to be one of them, he'll be better acquainted with this information than I am. He was granted the power to connect with Irminsul when he almost became the god of a new era. Even though he no longer has the Gnosis, some traces of its power remain in him. He can still connect. The amount of information in Irminsul is vast beyond description. Sifting through all of it without knowing what to look for would take too long, even for me. So I asked the Balladeer to search in Irminsul for any information about the Descenders. He's more familiar with this kind of information, and should be able to find it more quickly.
¿Y si te engaña?
Exactly! Or what if... Paimon just doesn't trust him! He's treated us as enemies every time we've run into him!
I understand. But sometimes, everything is dictated by which side you're on. How things will go in the future depends on what information he brings back. And Traveler, I know what your heart desires most of all. Our minds have connected several times before. There is a corner of your heart reserved for an intense longing. A feeling of being all alone in the dark, searching for the one candle whose light still burns. As Sumeru's deity, it is my responsibility to be on guard against the Balladeer. But as someone who counts you as a friend, I want to do something for you. If this deal with the Balladeer can give you the answers you've been longing to find, then it's worth it.
Gracias, Naida.
It's my pleasure, really. You're Sumeru's hero. You've more than earned it.
Paimon's still worried about this idea. Is there anything we can do to help?
I was going to contact you about that, but then you suddenly showed up on your own accord. Seems like we have a telepathic connection. In fact, I was going to ask you to supervise the Balladeer on my behalf while he carries out the task I assigned. Even though he only has a fraction of his full power left, that's still a fraction of a former Harbinger. If you could accompany him, it would put my mind at ease. Of course, I'll be there to help guide you through Irminsul from the outside.
Me alegra poder ayudar en
Great. Thank you. Prepare yourselves. I'm going to transport you into Irminsul.
Venga, vamos para allí. A ver, hay ganas de volver a ver al Irminsul. Quiero esa información de mi hermana. Quiero entender todo.
Wow. It looks pretty different here compared to last time. The colors are gentler. Guess that must be because Sumeru's at peace now.
Sí, es verdad. Curioso, ¿eh? Vale, pues vamos para allí. Ahí está Scara. Veamos qué nos dice.
Look at that. Hot on my heels. You know, you didn't have to cut your catch-up short just to keep me company. Oh, but I guess you panicked when you realized that I might enter Irminsul ahead of you.
Naida me pidió que hiciera de canguro.
Shut your beak, jailbird! No way a prisoner gets to be so smug!
I understand that prisoners have to put up with harassment from the guards. But right now, I'm on temporary release. So maybe you should think about backing off a little.
Sounds like a successful rendezvous. I need to be quite clear about something. In a few moments, you'll be entering into the innermost region of Irminsul. It is unlike
Muy bien,
anywhere else.
casi lo leo.
Irminsul's inner region consists exclusively of torrents of information. You must put aside your differences and be extremely careful as you navigate your way through. I know there are many grievances between you, on both sides, but it is essential that you remain calm after entry. This is as much for your own safety as anything else.
Lo entiendo.
Fine. Let's call it truce. But only until this mission's over.
Let's cut each other a little slack, shall we? We are going to be traveling together after all. Per my agreement with Lesser Lord Kusanali, I'll be at the front. It's my job to lead the way and get rid of any obstacles in our path. All you have to do is keep your pretty eyes open and try not to fall behind.
You sure are confident. Paimon will give you that. You make it sound like you're even more experienced at adventuring than us.
If there are no further objections, I suggest we get going. Or did you need some time to mentally prepare yourselves?
Ew! Ugh, the snark on this guy. It's unbearable.
Ahórrate el sarcasmo.
We can start now.
Irminsul access granted. Initiating connection procedure.
Is this a small sapling? Oh, darn it! Come on, let's catch up with him.
Venga, vamos. No te desesperes. Bueno, pues a ver qué pasa aquí, señores. Esto se pone jodidamente frenético ya. Ay, 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 ay.
So this is the inside of Irminsul.
No se parece nada a lo que había imaginado.
Ooh. Paimon's never seen anything like this. And it feels like a sacred place.
Irminsul is closely intertwined with the entirety of Teyvat. Every bit of information flowing here means something. Pick your jaws up off the floor. It's time to go.
Why is it that Paimon just wants to do the opposite of everything he says?
Lesser Lord Kusanali, we will now proceed to the heart of Irminsul.
Can you still sense where the heart of Irminsul is?
Yes. Permission to begin searching for information there?
Permission granted. Go ahead.
Let's go. Stay close. Don't go running off.
Hey, so say we did go running off in here. What are you smirking at?
I was just imagining the look on your travel companion's face if you went and got lost. Anything's possible in here. You can't rule anything out. So if you want to stay safe, your best option is to stick close to me.
Pues ya sabes, Paimon, obedece, ¿eh? Yo tengo curiosidad. Supongo que lo único que ocurriría sería que se reinicia a lo mejor la misión, esta parte y ya. Digo yo, ¿eh?
These sapling things have spread out.
Vale, los fragmentos se han disipado.
Those are all packets of information from inside Irminsul. Be careful not to touch them.
Cuidado. Se movió, parece que fue teletransportado a otro camino. Ahí hay otro. A ver qué pasa.
It looks the same in every direction.
Parece que yo el truto... No sé qué ponía.
No wonder he mentioned about getting lost. Huh. What do you know? He was actually telling the truth. Is he mocking me again? What is it this time?
There's a time and a place to lie, but this definitely isn't it. So why don't you relax your guard a little?
Bueno, pues vale.
We're here.
What a huge tree!
Este es el corazón del Irminsul. Toda la información de este mundo circula
Lesser
por
Lord
aquí.
Good,
Kusanali,
you made it. Are you ready?
ready when you are.
Then please begin. Preparing to access cognitive currents. Establishing waypoint.
The Balladier's actually doing what Nahida tells him. Guess he must want to stay alive.
No solo no se ha resistido, también parece que se le da muy bien estar al frente. ¿Sería este su trabajo dentro de los Fatui? Primero las historias de Akaba y Sawada y ahora esto. ¿Qué
The
tipo tan
rest is
curioso?
up to you. If you discover anything at all, make sure to share it with us.
Will do.
Madre mía, a ver qué pasa aquí.
For once, we're the ones with nothing to do.
Traveler, Paimon, would you like to talk?
Naida, estás hablando telepáticamente.
Yes, I've also invited Paimon to join.
Huh? What the? We can talk to each other inside our heads?
Supongo que no quieres molestar a Scara.
That's part of it. Plus, we're all friends. There's nothing wrong with us talking like this once in a while.
Paimon's never tried this before. This is great! So, Paimon's been wanting to ask you something. Don't you think the Balladeer's a bit of a walking contradiction? He's always talking back, but he seems to listen to what you say.
Y además parece que su punto fuerte es hacer tareas extrañas para
As
otros.
I've told you before, there are still some mysteries for him to resolve. Things that are clear as day to me, but that he has yet to understand. Perhaps today will be the day that he finds some answers.
Tiene que ver con su pasado, con las traiciones y los eventos que tuvieron lugar en Inazuma en el pasado.
Well done. Smart and attentive as always.
Lo cierto es que vislumbré algunos recuerdos cuando me encontré con Aipasia en el jardín Yai. Le cuentas a Naida y Pamela lo que viste en la mente de Scaramouche.
So, you made contact with that part of his mind. Well, it's true. Betrayal turned the Balladeer into the person he is today.
Huh. Paimon thought nothing could get under that guy's skin. Turns out, he can get hurt and angry just like anyone else.
Everyone has a history, Paimon. Even if you're a puppet created by the Electro Archon.
Pues muy bien.
Speaking of puppets, we ran into two people at the Academia today talking about an essay. Turns out their topic was about the Tatarasuna incident. Naida, do you know anything about that?
If you mean the mysterious events, the kabuki mono and so on, yes. I know about all of that.
Really? Because from what they were saying, it sounded like lots of Tatarasuna's history is still unexplained.
Vale, le cuentan a Naida lo que Akaba y Sawada habían escrito.
Oh? How interesting. Those two managed to deduce quite a lot through guesswork alone.
So the Gesse got it right?
Well, they guessed right about one thing. Tatarasuna was sabotaged.
Must be a riveting conversation you three are having. Funny how all the good ones happen when I'm not involved.
What makes you think we're talking to each other?
Don't insult me. You're having a private conversation without me. Obviously, I must be the topic of said
Tenemos todo el derecho a
conversation.
tener secretos.
Of course you do. You can't have your prisoner knowing too much.
So, have you found anything yet?
Still looking. Don't get your hopes up, though. You and your twin come from outside this world. It wouldn't surprise me if there was nothing on either of you in Irminsul at all.
Buah, chaval.
Wait, how did you know about that? Did Nahida tell you?
It's not like we've never met before. And anyway, you're world famous. It'd be more surprising if I didn't know a few things about
Al
you.
menos ya no eres tan molesto.
Right now, we have to keep the peace. I'm not interested in creating more misery for myself. And making cordial conversation is something I can manage. Huh? Wait.
¿Qué? Uy, uy, uy.
This light. It looks similar to those saplings. What could it be?
Anonymous data.
Hey, don't you forget the agreement. You have to share it with us.
Shh. Just wait.
Mr. Niwa, are you certain this is worth the risk? We are talking about Tatarasuna's furnace, after all. It may not pay to act rashly.
There's no one else who can enter the furnace. It has to be me.
Is that so? Well, since you insist.
It's...
Niwa es el señor que estaba a cargo de la fragua de Tatarasuna, ¿verdad? Y también era heredero de la técnica Ishin.
Whoa!
Bueno.
I have been in Tatarasuna for some time now. You have shown me great hospitality, as has Mikoshi Nagamasa, and indeed, everyone else. Under your leadership, Tatarasuna is a warm, welcoming place, like a giant village. People are gainfully employed, their lives have purpose. They are motivated. As I understand, the Raiden Shogun has, in recent years, eliminated much of the evil that plagued Inazuma. As for Tatara Suna, it was originally established as a means of safely disposing crystal marrow. The forging industry with crystal marrow as a raw material has since flourished, giving rise to generations of swordsmiths. Some world-renowned, others unknown, all passing on their legacy. Skills, blood, dreams. Every smith brought into this trade looks to find their purpose between steel and blade. That is why you accepted the proposal brought to you by myself and Akame.
Yes, well, were it not for you coming to Inazuma and happening to make Akame's acquaintance, the two of you never would have joined forces. And he would be the first to admit that there's no way he could have revolutionized our forging process like this on his own. At least not on the same timescale. You allowed Akame to take all the credit for a method that you jointly developed. He sold it to me. And now, every piece of ore here is smelted using the new technique. Even now, you remain one of Tatara Suna's key consultants, working right here alongside us. I believe it is you, sir, who are truly responsible for the changes in our manufacturing and forging methods.
You flatter me. From the outset, I saw much that was commendable in the forging industry of Inazuma. And it has been my great honor to befriend you all.
So you say, Escher. But is this really the truth?
My good sir, what do you mean?
I tried to resist thinking it was all connected. Because I didn't want to speculate. And I didn't want to believe that things could turn out this way. What have we gained from adopting your new technology? Ominous black smoke? Mounting production problems? Worker fatigue and casualties are up and continuing to rise at an alarming rate. And recently, as you well know, someone died because of that strange filth inside the furnace. We've kept the truth from spreading outside, but still, I suspect you understand it better than I do. None of the people who went out to get help have come back. Now, our mutual friend, the Kabuki Mono, is taking the Golden Feather to Narukami Island to seek an audience with Shogun. This is our last hope. But that doesn't faze you, does it,
Oye,
Escher?
¿por qué ha habido un cambio de cámara ahí, tío? Eso lo
Nothing
odio.
does. Otherwise, why would you still be standing there with that smile on your face?
I'm just surprised that you finally chose to be so sincere. I'm sure you've been harboring these suspicions for quite some time.
Mikoshi Nagamasa may have noticed that there was one common denominator among all these events. Namely you, Escher. But Mr. Mikoshi is more cautious than I.
After all, Nagamasa is the adopted son of Mikoshi Torachiyo, the yokai struck down by the Shogun's own hand. If he truly seeks to redeem his family's honor, an abundance of caution is well advised.
You're well informed on the subtleties of his situation for a mechanic all the way from Fontaine. Are you sure you're not a little overqualified?
Why, Mr. Niwa, are you suggesting I find a job as a diplomat? Sadly, I am so very attached to my craft.
Enough, Escher. I'm here because an evil force is raging inside the furnace. And someone needs to take your new device inside the high-risk zone so we can absorb it and put an end to the problem. I'm in charge here. And I'm about to take some responsibility and head inside. Probably to my death. But what about you? What are you still doing here?
Judging from the look in your eyes, you don't seem to trust me.
Drop the act! We're past that now. Whoever you are, it looks like your plan to destroy Tatara Suna has worked. I just want to know what you're still doing here. What's left? Don't you have all your answers by now?
Honestly, I'm just waiting for the right moment. A moment like this, where you finish talking and I stop you from entering the furnace.
You...
You're a little smarter than I initially gave you credit for. I thought I'd disguised myself exceptionally well, at least for the first few days. But to my surprise, you had your people look into my background right from the start. It's a long journey from Inazuma to Fontaine, but that didn't stop them. Eventually, they managed to confirm that Escher was an alias, and that I was not from Fontaine at all. And yet, despite all of that, you still fail to realize my true identity, and what I seek in Tatarasuna.
Did you really think you would be able to see through my plan?
If you kill me, there's no one who can get inside the furnace. So you're really going to destroy this place? Is that it?
Oh, but you're quite wrong. There is one other person. Some may not see him as a person, but you told him yourself. You're not a puppet. You're a human. You're just missing a heart.
Whoever you're working for won't get away with this. They'll be found out. But this makes no sense. What are you really trying to accomplish by all this? Why go to all this trouble?
It's no trouble at all. Patience is a virtue which I have in abundance. This is all part of a carefully controlled experiment. If you must know, I'm happy to divulge my true identity. I'm a Fatui harbinger. Call me the Doctor.
The Fatui? Who? What do you want?
Just to create a minor inconvenience for your nation.
That's it? That's why you gave us your cursed technology? Just to let loose the evil energy from the crystal marrow?
Look how even the righteous soul is filled with venom when faced with its demise. My device functions precisely as you say. It is the only chance you have of preventing a catastrophe and keeping the truth from the outside world. However, I did not make it with you in mind. It is easier for a person to be possessed by evil spirits when they are filled with hate. So give in to your fury. I want to see what happens when a malevolent heart is placed into an unsuspecting puppet. Make no mistake, even without you, that pure, innocent puppet would only end up being used by someone else instead. What other reason would a human have for befriending one who is not of our kind?
If you give him my heart, tell him that both Nagamasa and I see him as one of us. He has nothing to prove to anyone. Because not everyone just wants to use other people. The only ones who think like that are people like you.
What a beautiful way to see the world. It almost makes me feel a little guilty. Then out of respect for you, I shall redefine myself. Think of me as a monster or a demon, if you wish. At least this way your death is not a consequence of your own folly turning you into an easy target. You simply lost to something more powerful than you could ever hope to defeat. I say, Mr. Niwa, let's see what happens. Will your puppet friend become a human? No, that will prove quite impossible. Mr. Niwa? Already dead. What a pity. Jester, I have completed the task you gave me, creating a gap and infiltrating Inazuma's inner workings. What fun it was. I'd like to introduce a puppet to you. If he proves useful, let's make him our newest comrade. And if not, let's turn him to dust.
Vaya pedazo de escena, tío. Increíble esto,
Hey, are you alright?
Dottore. Dottore! Good. Good.
Was that the doctor? Did he turn into a mechanic from Fontaine?
Él estuvo detrás del incidente de Tatarasuna.
Why did we see things from his perspective?
When I touched the doctor to confirm whether he'd eliminated all his segments, I read this memory in his mind. You have to admit, it must be the truth.
Maybe so, but it means nothing.
Does it? But this memory shows that Niwa didn't betray you. He never meant for you to be the one to take the device into the furnace. You know very well what that means. Even more so than I.
Así que aquella traición en realidad es una mentira que ha creído durante cientos de años. ¿Formaba todo esto parte del experimento de Dottore? Si nunca fue traicionado, entonces está todo en su imaginación. ¿Qué pasará ahora con él?
Give him some space. He looks really mad. Paimon doesn't want to be anywhere near him
Bien,
right now.
esperemos
I
ahí.
need to give him some time to process his emotions.
Sí, es normal, se tiene que adaptar a
I'm still
la
confused
verdad.
about the Tatarasuna incident. So, the doctor was behind it, but why has that gotten him so worked up?
Nobody has ever deceived you like that, Paimon. It's natural that you find it difficult to understand. Perhaps he needed to learn this someday. So now you have the complete picture. Katsuragi took the kabuki mono to live with the people of Tatarasuna. Later, the doctor showed up, disguised as a mechanic from Fontaine. And that's when the trouble began. It was all a horrific experiment planned by the doctor. Everything he did was just to plant seeds of disaster in Inazuma that would bear fruit in the future. Of all the unwitting participants in the doctor's experiment, the balladeer became the main test subject. After the events you just saw in that memory, the doctor put Niwa's heart into the device and handed it to the balladeer. Then he instructed him to enter the furnace and absorb all the filth caused by the smelting process.
Qué cruel.
The load was far beyond what he expected, but the balladeer survived. He left the furnace in sheer exhaustion and said to the mechanic, "This device seems to have protected me. What's in it?" The mechanic answered, "Niwa fled this place for fear of punishment, but he left you a gift. He said it's the one thing that you've been looking for." He took it straight from the chest of one of his innocent servants. The mechanic removed the withered heart from the device as he spoke. The balladeer was stunned that such unthinkable cruelty had brought him the thing he'd been longing for his entire life. A heart acquired through cold-blooded murder is a cursed thing, but it had protected him from the filth. He thought Niwa had completely betrayed him, and yet this very betrayal had ensured his survival. Overwhelmed with anger and sorrow, the balladeer threw the heart to the ground and left Tatarasuna without looking back.
Holy moly. So the doctor killed an innocent man and pinned everything on the victim? That's terrible.
Él pensó que había sido traicionado y abandonado por su mejor amigo, y el resentimiento de aquellos recuerdos le reconcomió. Fue por eso que decidió vengarse de las 5 escuelas de Raiden hace 100 años. La venganza nunca es la solución correcta.
Yes. Only if he understands this can he choose a new path forward.
Bueno, démosle tiempo. El misterio de Tatarasuna.
Dottore, you brazen-faced... Niwa didn't run from justice. You killed him.
Bueno, voy a ver si puedo ver el logro. Ah, que no puedo verlo aquí. Entonces, bueno, vamos a ver si me acerco a él más tarde.
Shall we see how he's doing? Hey, you alright? That's a scary expression.
Are you worried about me? If we didn't have such a history, I'd almost think that qualifies me to be your friend.
Solo queremos asegurarnos de que el acuerdo sigue en
It
pie.
won't. I'll keep my end of the deal.
Hey, are you investigating the stuff we want to know about?
That's why we're here. But unfortunately, there's no information about the Descenders in Irminsul.
Even if you can't find anything, that seems to confirm it. Irminsul does not keep records on the Descenders. Anyone who comes from beyond this world is not counted as part of Teyvat.
Oh, does that mean we have to leave empty-handed?
Hombre, para algo habrá servido. Me lo esperaba, pero gracias de todas
Don't
formas.
thank me just yet. You look really upset. Well, since Irminsul was a dead end, I guess I can share some other info that might interest you.
Huh? About what?
The reason why there are records about your sister in Irminsul. It might have something to do with Conria. Apparently, Conria was her first destination when she arrived in this world. Plus, she only came to this world because the heavens responded to the summoning.
Oh.
The heavens responded?
The jester told me this himself. You can take his word on this. He was a royal mage in Conria, and lived with your sister for a time.
El bufón, otro de los 11 de los
I don't
Fatui.
know the details. It's up to you whether you want to believe me. All I can say is, I wouldn't lie to you about this. Did you get all that, Lesser Lord Kusanali?
Yes. Astonishing news.
Does this info count towards my mission? It wasn't from Irminsul, but was it valuable?
Very valuable.
Good. In that case, I'll take some time for myself now.
Huh? What have you done?
Lesser Lord Kusanali was right. My power's all but completely spent. Even if I use all of the divine power left in me, I can't sustain this shield for very long. I shared a secret with you, and now you owe me. So in return, I'd like you to answer a question for me.
¿De qué se trata?
Give me your hand. Can you hear my voice inside your head?
¿Estás intentando invadir mi conciencia?
No, I can't do anything like that anymore. At most, all I can do is exchange a few words with you. So tell me, in this world, is it possible to change the past?
¿Qué? ¿Por qué me preguntas algo así?
Done.
Huh? What the? What happened? Paimon only saw you hold hands for a second.
Nothing. I was just thanking him for helping me.
Esa expresión será porque me vio dudar. Solo fue porque yo sí recuerdo a la reina mayor Ruka de Bata. Oh no, al dudar le he dado la respuesta que quería. Efectivamente.
I suggest you get yourselves out of here quickly.
Where are you going? Hey, wait up! Didn't you say not to go running off?
A ver, Paimon, tienes que detenerle.
Fast reaction time. But I don't think we'll be seeing each other again.
¿Cómo que no?
From this day forth, the names Balladeer and Kabukimono will cease to exist. Those who died in Tatarasuna because of me deserve another chance at life.
Hey, Balladeer! Don't do anything stupid!
You know, I never did like insects. Hordes of the puny things swarming together can be a real nuisance. And I enjoy nothing more than to stamp them out like the pests they are. But if a colony of harmless ants isn't threatening anyone, I guess they deserve to be left alone. Luckily, everything can be set right. It's time to solve this once and for all.
Balladeer! Balladeer! Uh-oh, he disappeared. Come on, we gotta find him some...
Sí, tenemos que encontrarlo, pero eso significa que la respuesta era sí, ¿no? Si no, no se habría ido así porque sí. Joder, qué fuerte.
No, he's really gone.
Oh, can you hear me?
Nihida!
Traveler, Paimon, Balladeer, what happened just now? I was suddenly cut off by some kind of power.
It was the Balladeer's fault. He shut you out.
Le cuentas a Naida todo lo ocurrido.
I didn't think he'd be capable of something like that with so little power left. Did he keep some of his power hidden when he was defeated? Or did he achieve something beyond his abilities, and it took everything he had.
Where the heck did he go? Ugh, it's all our fault. We were supposed to keep an eye on him.
Don't be. It's not your fault. Please, let me handle this from here, even though I'm not sure I can solve it. We're running out of time. Follow my lead and get out of Irminsul as soon as possible.
Bueno, pues nada. Hostia, interesante todo esto, ¿eh? Eso de que se puede cambiar el pasado es un poco... curioso, muy curioso. ¿Y de qué manera se podría cambiar? No lo sé, porque al final en este juego como que vas a diferentes planos temporales. Yo creo que de algún modo, en algún momento nos han dado señales sobre eso. Bueno, a ver si se carga. Porque es que es que lo de este juego a mí me parece una burrada descomunal. A ver. Bueno, de repente estamos aquí.
And we're at, an inn or something?
This is an emergency. I'll have to ask you to stay here for now. Everything's arranged, and nobody will disturb you.
¿Puedo hacer algo para ayudar?
I'm sorry, but this isn't something I need your help with. Leave this one to me.
An emergency? How bad is it? Nahida, will you be okay?
Don't worry. If my assessment is correct, though there may be some minor disturbances, it won't lead to a disaster. Please rest and recover your strength here until I say it's safe.
Vale, tocará esperar.
Her voice is gone. Paimon can't shake the feeling that something really big has happened. What do you think the balladeer meant? And why did he suddenly grab onto you before?
Paimon tampoco recuerda a la reina mayor Ruka de Bate. La pregunta de Scaramouche fue muy extraña. Ni siquiera sabría cómo explicárselo todo y podría preocuparla aún más. Será mejor que no le hable de la reina mayor Ruka de Bate y me centre en Scara. Le cuentas a Paimon lo que pasó con Scara y lo que crees que trama.
He wants to change the past? But surely that's impossible.
No es fácil, eso está claro.
You can't just rewrite history. All that stuff happened already in real life. It's like, imagine Paimon drank all the water in this inn. Even if no one was there to see it, Paimon would sure as heck remember drinking it.
Una gran ejemplificación.
So, why does Paimon still have a bad feeling about this? Paimon can't help but feel scared about what he might do.
Ay, Paimon no lo entiende. Bueno, tal vez quiera borrarse a sí mismo del pasado. Paimon, ¿estás bien?
Sorry, Paimon accidentally... It's the balladeer's fault for causing Paimon all this mental stress. But erasing yourself from history? It's unthinkable. Is that really possible in Irminsul?
Solo es una conjetura.
Uh-oh. Paimon's head is overheating from trying to understand what he's up to. And it's still not working. Ugh. Paimon's had it with that little brat. He's been nothing but trouble ever since we met him. There's no way he'll actually succeed, right? Otherwise, won't everyone who's connected to him be affected too?
Así es, si Scara se borra a sí mismo, mucha gente en Inazuma se verá afectada. No puedo ni llegar a imaginar lo que eso supondría. En el peor de los casos afectaría a todos aquellos relacionados con las 5 escuelas de Raiden. Kazuha, Yaka, Hayato... ¿Quiere decir que ellos también desaparecerían?
There's nothing we can do about it at this point. Hey, have you got any ideas on what we should do next? Seems like
pues no lo sé, Paimon.
left for us
Esto
to
está
do but to
calentito.
go to sleep. But Paimon's still so worried. Paimon won't be able to sleep a wink tonight.
Igual que yo.
So, how about we list all our favorite foods to take our mind off things? Heck, if that doesn't work, Paimon's probably gonna collapse of anxiety here. All right, Paimon will start. First dish. Munstack grilled fish. Oh, and chicken mushroom skewers. Tea break pancakes, cream stew, sautéed matsutake, and Dragon chili chicken, almond tofu, satisfying salad. Oh, also Adeptus Temptation, golden shrimp balls, triple layered consomme, lotus seed and bird egg soup, and...
A ver, ¿qué ocurre aquí? Bueno, se ha hecho de día ya. Paimon, ¿qué ocurre?
What was Paimon supposed to be doing just now? Paimon was, talking? Huh. Paimon suddenly can't remember what she was talking
Estabas
about.
listando tus comidas favoritas para olvidarte de Scaramouche.
The balladeer? Is that a food too? Huh. Weird name, though.
Se ha olvidado todo, tío. No tiene memoria. Paimon, no recuerdas, cara. No puede ser, lo ha logrado. ¿Pero cómo? Esto no tiene
What's
sentido.
wrong? Your eyes are like saucers. Was it something Paimon said?
No, no es nada.
So, the balladeer. Is that someone's name? 'Cause it sounds like a nickname or something.
Madre mía, si de verdad lo he logrado, tengo que averiguar qué más ha cambiado. Paimon, ven conmigo.
Okay, sure. Where are we going?
Tenemos que volver a Inazuma.
Fine by Paimon, but is everything okay?
Te lo explicaré más tarde. Sí, sí, sí. Madre mía, cuidado, Bueno, pues nada. Te estás portando muy mal, Skara. Danza de la destrucción. Habla con la Amenoma Tougo, ¿de acuerdo? Pues eso estará justamente allí. Bueno, pues toca ir para allí, señores. Llevo 51 minutos, tío. Menos mal que esto lo hemos hecho al principio del vídeo, porque literalmente en ningún momento hemos podido detener la conversación ni el diálogo. O sea, esto era todo del tirón. Madre mía, qué locura, chaval. Qué locura. Espero que no haya algo tan largo ahora, porque me quedan como mucho 10 minutos. Juego, por favor, despierta, espabila. Vamos rápidamente para allí. Y a ver qué ocurre. Vaya tirón de mis huevos. Vale, estamos aquí. A ver qué cambios hay.
Ah, it's been a while.
Hola, estoy buscando algo de información.
Of course. Go ahead.
A ver, ¿podría volver a explicarme qué eran las 5 escuelas de Raiden?
Oh. Now there's a question I wasn't expecting. Very well. I'll tell you what I know once more. The
Vale.
once renowned Raiden Gokuden, comprised of 5 branches. Amenoma, Futsu, Ishin, Hyakume, and Senju. The art of forging practiced by these 5 clans was first taught to them personally by the almighty Shogun. Over time, the 5 branches diverged from one another as generations of bladesmiths honed and perfected their craft until they became 5 distinct traditions. Most of the great swordsmith clans of old have since fallen into decline, and for a long time, only the Amenoma branch kept its art alive. But fortunately, Kaedehara Kazuha recently returned to Inazuma and took up the mantle of the Ishin art. Now, 2 clans remain of the original Gokuden 5. If my memory serves me right, you yourself were present when he forged the Ishin blade.
Oh, yeah, we were.
Sí, sí.
Paimon remembers that now.
Creo que es lo de su legendaria, la espada final.
The Raiden Gokuden then too. It seems like such a shame.
¿Cuál fue el motivo?
That, my friends, is a tragic tale indeed. In fact, this was not made known to me for most of my life. All these years, I knew of those great clans' demise, but never the cause. Only recently, when the question was on my mind, did I ask Kaedehara Kazuha about this. He told me that, as we are both heirs to a branch of the Raiden Gokuden, it was right that I should know the truth. There is no harm in telling you, but I must warn you. It is a dark and sorrowful tale. The Raiden Gokuden were the targets of a murderous rampage by a vengeful bladesmith.
Vengeful? Why?
400 years ago, so I'm told, there was a catastrophic malfunction in Tatarasuna's furnace. One brave swordsmith heard the commotion and chose not to flee, but he rushed to the scene, hoping to prevent a disaster. Tatarasuna was home to a state-of-the-art forging and smelting operation in that day, and overseeing it was the armory officer. His surname was Niwa, though he had family ties to the Kaedehara clan. Knowing that they had just one chance to save countless lives, Mr. Niwa and the swordsmith leaped together into the furnace. The furnace quickly stabilized, but neither of them made it out. The smith's death, though heroic, dealt a devastating blow to his family's fortunes. His orphan son was left to fend for himself, and grew up deeply resentful at the world. In his heart, the whole of Inazuma was culpable in his tragedy. He hated the almighty shogun for her apparent indifference towards his father's death, and he hated everyone who had done nothing to try and save him. Powerless and destitute, the only legacy he had to pass on to his children was his hatred. Generation after generation bore this grudge, living in utter misery. Alas, if only the story could have ended there. But 100 years ago, the then head of this family reached the end of his wits. He could bear their fate no longer, and yet he could do nothing to change it. Finally, he made a drastic decision to take revenge on the Raiden Gokuden. In doing so, he sought to vent his pent-up anger and shake the very foundations of Inazuma's forging industry. In his fury, he murdered indiscriminately, killing even bladesmiths from the Hyakume clan which he belonged to. His goal was absolute, the devastation of all of the Raiden Gokuden. But when he came to the Kaedehara and Kamisato clans, his killing spree came to an abrupt end. He failed to catch them unawares. They fought back fiercely, and they did not spare his life. That is why the Kaedehara clan and their Ishin art survived that day. I suppose they were the lucky ones, under the dire circumstances.
La leyenda de las 5 escuelas de Raiden ha cambiado. Alguien más atacó a los herreros. Aunque Scara haya alterado el Irminsul, parece que Niwa acabó falleciendo de igual modo.
Was there anything else you wanted to ask?
¿Has visto a Kazuha últimamente?
Kazuha? Why, yes. Just yesterday, in fact. We spoke for a while over some tea. He seemed well.
Uf, así que sigue existiendo y es el mismo Kazuha que conozco. Las cosas no parecen haber acabado tan mal como me temía anoche. Eso es todo,
My
gracias.
pleasure.
Don't tell Paimon. There are other places you want to visit too, right? Your expression says it all. You can't hide anything from Paimon. On to the next stop. Lead the way, traveler.
Vale, pues ven detrás, pero... Vale, dirígete a la comisión Yashiro, ¿de acuerdo? Ese es el siguiente objetivo y tenemos que ir allí. Esto ya lo haremos en el siguiente vídeo, ¿de acuerdo? Es decir, yo voy a dejarlo, de hecho, aquí, lo voy a dejar aquí. Empezaremos, pues justamente aquí. Y nada, no sé si acabaremos esta misión de Arconte en el siguiente vídeo, pero si no es así, nos quedaremos ya cerquita, la verdad. Y... buah, tío, es que ya el avance queda muy poco a día de hoy de contenido ya del juego. Cosas que queden sueltas yo las iré mostrando en vídeos aparte, como he estado haciendo hasta ahora. Y ya está, ¿de acuerdo? Porque si no, no acabaríamos nunca. Si lo tuviera que juntar todo en un vídeo. Hay cosas que muestro aparte y que nunca he mostrado en un vídeo episódico. Así que, pues nada, señores. Yo ya sé qué juego quiero traer próximamente, también os lo digo. Aún queda también hacer... ¡Oh, hostia, el logro! Madre mía. El misterio de Tatarasuna. Investiga la historia de Tatarasuna dentro del Irminsul. Vale, pues eso, ahí está. Y nada, señores, que también quedan las legendarias. Queda la de Deya y la de Faruzan, que las vamos a hacer pronto, así que no me enrollo más. Disfrutad de vuestros días, pero recordad sobre todo de vuestras noches. Hasta la próxima.